side. كاك بلال بوي المزالية ولا second side. Yes. Yeah.
فين رامي؟
لا هو ما يهموش الحاجات الصحفية.
صباح الخير جميعا، صباح الخير استاذ كيارستامي، صباح الخير جميعا. نحن بيسعدنا انه نرحب فيكم باخر النهار ضمن مهرجان الخليج بدورته الخامسه، وفخر كثير كثير لنا اليوم يكون معنا مخرج شيفاني. حقيقه نحن بنفتخر اليوم انكم تكونوا كلكم موجودين بهي ورشه العمل الاخيره يلي صارت باخر يوم من مهرجان الخليج. أستاذ كيارostami حضرتك بتحضر الكرز إنه بآخر النهار بآخر النهار بمهرجان الخليج. أهلا أهلا. بدي أشكر بالبداية شخص كثير ساعدنا من خلال ورشة العمل اللي صارت ضمن هي مؤسسة الدوكيومنتري فويسز. اسمحوا لي أشكر مشيد زماني. مشيد ثانك يو، شكرا لك. ثانك يو. عباس كيارostami يمكن بغنى عن التعريف، افلامه تخطت دول المنطقه. كوكر تريلوجي، تيست اوف تشيري، ذا ويند والكاري اس، ومؤخرا طبعا الفيلم مع جولييت بينوش ست بيت كوبي. افلام يمكن كان لها اثر كثير كبير بصناعه الافلام بالمنطقه نوعا ما، فانا بفتخر اني ارحب فيه، ونحن كثير مسرورين بمهرجان الخليج نرحب فيه. اكيد مدراء المهرجان شيفاني، بانديا، ومسعود، عمرالله كثير فخورين انه نكونوا موجودين. I just want to say that we're really very proud today to have with us Mr. Abbas Kiarostami. I've been talking about his films, amazing film like Taste of Cherry or Cocker Trilogy or The Wind Will Carry Us. So I wanted to thank you for being with us today. I wanted to thank Mashid Sabani for her involvement, for her passion. Thank you. And I want to also thank all the filmmakers that have been in this adventure. Rola, you know what I'm talking about. So maybe it would be great also to have some, if you can tell us about your experience. I'd like to see if some of the filmmakers can talk a little bit about what happened during this workshop. And after that, it's going to be like a gathering press. The press media will assist you in this contact. Youssef is here, Mildred will be here, so they're going to help you in this press point. Again, thank you very much, Mr. Kiarostami. And let's start with you, maybe, to talk to us a little bit about this amazing adventure that we had. Thank you.
بنده خیلی خوشحالم اینجا. در واقع در هیچ فستیوالی نرفته بودم که
ببخشید آقای کیارostami.
صندلی باشیم. داشتم میگفتم من خوشحالم که
As he was saying that he is very happy and delighted to be here with us.
در هیچ فستیوالی نرفته بودم، یادم نمیاد که این همه چهره‌های آشنا یک جا دیده باشم و بسیار خوشحالم کرد و یاد خاطرات سابق گذاشتم.
I'm very happy to be back here, and all of a sudden when I walked in I saw all these familiar faces, and I've never been in a festival where there was this gush of welcoming people that I know, and I'm really delighted to see them, and it brought back all the memories of last year.
شاید دیشب نبودم که واقعا فیلماتون رو ببینم، یادآوری کنم به خودم که چی ساخته ولی همونقدر من هست.
I feel sad because I wasn't here last night during the screening, so I could have reminded myself of who did what, because I really wanted to see them again.
ولی تنها خاطری که دارم اینه که تا سال گذشته این موقع اینو همه جا میگفتم بهترین ورکشاپی بود که من تا حالا داشتم.
One of the major things that I want to tell you, and I've been telling this to everybody, that this workshop that I did last year in Dubai was one of the best workshops that I've ever done.
البته برای اینکه اینو باور کنیم بهتون میگم آخریم هم خیلی خوب بود و جنوب اسپانیا بود. الان میگم بهترین ورکشاپم در جنوب اسپانیا بود.
But now just to tell you, there's another reference. I made another workshop in south of Spain in Murcia, And that was actually also one of my best so far after this one. Thank you.
Okay, as filmmakers اگر شما دیگه صحبت خاصی ندارید بچه‌ها
So now it's open to the filmmakers who were here last year, so if you want to talk about your experience.
A microphone, sorry, the microphone.
What should I talk about actually?
The experience you had with Mr. Kiarostami's workshop.
خب اولا که فکر میکنم برای همه بچه‌ای که اومدن توی این ورکشاپ یه افتخار خیلی بزرگی بود که پیش استاد باشن.
First of all, it was a great honor for everybody who attended this workshop to be under the guidance and mentorship of Master Kiarostami.
و نکته بعدی این بود که استاد خیلی باز تمام تجربه‌شون در اختیار ما می‌ذاشتن و واقعا به نظر من شیپ دادن ذهنیت بچه‌ها رو نسبت به فیلمسازی.
It was very important because during this workshop, Mr. Kiarostami gave us everything in one gush. It was very important, and he opened up our minds, and he really shaped the way we think about narrative, filmmaking, and storytelling.
خیلی نکات زیادی راجع به فیلمسازی بحث شد اونجا، ولی برای خود من شخصا این که با تصویر بریم جلو و خلاقیت تصویری ذهنمون بریم بالا خیلی برای من نکته مهمی بود و یعنی اصلا باعث شد که رنگ و ساخت فیلم‌های من عوض بشه اصلا بعد از این ورکشاپ.
We talked about many subjects during the workshop. We discussed many techniques and ideas, but the most important thing for him was the way he believed how to see in visual terms and in visual creative terms, and this was a major turning point in his filmmaking career.
این کلیتش طلبات بچه‌های دیگه صحبت دارم.
This is more or less what I can tell in a nutshell, but maybe we can listen to other students.
Thank you, Mr. Kiarostami, for being here. The most important thing that I learned from your classes, it was don't need to spend a lot of time thinking what I want to do. Just start and then you can make the film. Because I had a lot of idea in my mind and I never make them. When I'm coming to the classes with Mr. Kiarostami, he learned me like, he taught me like you can first start and then you make the film easily. If you didn't start and sitting thinking this idea is good or bad or something, all the time you're thinking. And it was the best gift that I get from Mr. Kiarostami. Thank you.
Maybe I can talk about my experience with this. I wasn't only translating, I was also attending the my experience was that there were, I think, two major things that I picked up from this workshop. Is that we were making short films, but short films does not necessarily have to have short ideas. It's a short film, but with a big idea. That big idea could be a feature length, or it could be short. But if we don't have that big idea, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that because it's short, it's 5 minutes, it doesn't have to have a big idea. That was the major point I picked up. The second was about the budget. You don't have to have huge budgets to be creative. The less budget, the more creative we dig, because we have to look through other channels to be able to express ourselves. And unfortunately, this is what I've seen around. The more I see people around me, the filmmakers that I've seen that had less budget, the films were much creative, and they were like really going all the way to show what is coming from inside. But the minute they got some money and the extra money, then they were just spending it on extra music, which was irrelevant to the theme. So less money for me, and this is what I picked up from the Iranian cinema and as Mr. Kiarostami's film. The more creative you can get. So it's not about the money, it's just the big idea.
یه تجربه خیلی خوب که من داشتم در مورد این ورکشاپ این بود که من خیلی کامپلیکیتد فکر می‌کردم فکر می‌کردم که باید خب چون که تصویربرداری بلدم حتما باید خیلی از زوایای مختلف تصویربرداری کنم، خیلی آنچنانی باشه. دنبال سوژم راه افتاده بودم. فکر می‌کنم شما یادتون میاد چقدر تو ذوق من زدین که چرا این کارو کردم.
Let me just translate before I lose you. So she says one of the most important things that she learned was that because she's a filmmaker and she's very she's a photographer and she knows exactly what the techniques and she likes to change perspectives and give different shots. And this is something that she learned during the how to simplify. That was the big idea for her. And during the workshop, she was like running around, and Mr. Kiarostami had to actually at one point stop her and tell her to just freeze and look at things maybe from a distance, from a very fixed perspective.
بعد شما گفتین که چرا انقدر زیادی زحمت کشیدی، خیلی زیاد زحمت کشیدی. همه اینایی که گرفتی رو بذار کنار، فراموشش کن، برو یه فیلم دیگه بساز. خب من تقریبا اشکم در اومده بود.
So she had already filmed something, and Mr. Kiarostami said, I know you've worked a lot on this, but it's too much. We need to put this aside and restart, do something completely different, simplify.
بعد من خیلی فکر کردم، یه سوژه پیدا کردم در مورد همون آهوها. یه روزه درستش کردم، ادیتش کردم و خیلی برام جالب بود که این کار انجام دادم چون خیلی هدفمندتر شده بودم. فردا اومدم، شما لبخند زدین، خیلی خوشحال شدی، من خوشحال شدم، باعث شد که برم فیلم قبلیمم ادیت کنم و 2 تا فیلم توی ورکشاپ بدم بیرون.
So the next day she went and she came up with an idea which is about 2 deers, and she filmed and edited in one day, and she came back the next day and she showed it to Mr. Kiarostami. He was happy, she was happy, and then she realized that it was the whole thing could be fit in one small short film. And then she went back and re-edited the first film that she had shot, very complicated, and she tried to simplify the process.
خب من یاد گرفتم که سوژه خوب انتخاب کنیم، ساده فکر کنیم، ساده هم بسازیم.
It's about finding a right subject, to make it in a nice way and to have a big idea.
May I also take the occasion to mention actress of Naila Kaja's film High, which was screened last night in the second half at 9:30 p.m. on the Cherries of Kiarostami. Over to you.
Hello everybody, hello Mr. Kiarostami. It was a great experience for me working with Mr. Abbas Kiarostami and Miss Naila Kaja. I have no previous experience in acting. It was my very first time, and it was a great experience, and I learned a lot from it. And we filmed, all the shooting took place on top of the two roof buildings. And the story, the theme in all was about loneliness, and it depicts a little bit something that I feel and that everybody feels. And it was a silent film, so I didn't have to talk too much. Or talk at all actually, but sometimes the feelings are like an open book, and it really depicts your true feelings, and I think it was a good film personally. Thank you very much.
Sorry. We have also Nahid, a key member of Documentary Voices, who made White Marguerites. Nahid, please speak.
اول بگم که روزی که تصمیم گرفتم فیلم رو بسازم خیلی میترسیدم، یعنی اصلا از مطرح کردن آیدیا میترسیدم، چون اولین تجربه فیلم سازی بود. در مقابل یه بیگ نیم، وقتی در مقابل یه اسطوره میخوای فیلم بسازی، من فکر نمی‌کنم کسی جرئت داشته باشه اصلا مطرح بکنه آیدیاشو.
So she says the first day she went to the workshop, she was even afraid of telling Mr. Kiarostami what she's thinking about, because it was her first filmmaking experience and being in front of such a maestro, and she wasn't even daring to say what she's thinking and what she wants to do.
وقتی که ایده‌مو مطرح کردم آقای کیارستمی، گفتم برو جلو، حالا ببینیم. خیلی بدون هیچ نظری، عقیده‌ای، چون فکر نمی‌کردم مثلا من بتونم این کارو انجام بدم، چون خب کارم رو خیلی داشتیم در طول ورکشاپ، کارهای ورکشاپ هم انجام می‌دادیم. گفتم حالا برو ببینیم چیکار می‌کنی.
So when she finally managed to propose her idea to Mr. Kiarostami, he very reluctantly told her, well, go ahead, just do it, because maybe she thinks in the back of his mind, she thought, it's her first filmmaking experience, maybe she will not be able to do it, but let's just keep her doing it. And then she went ahead, and at the same time she was very busy because she works in Documentary Voices and she had to handle other errands.
ولی چیزی که واقعا منو شوک کرد بعد از اینکه فیلم ساخته شد. آقای کیارستمی اون تاییدی که کردم و گفتم واقعا در این فرصت کم با این ایده‌ای که خیلی سریع به ذهن من رسیده و انجام دادیم، اصلا برای من قابل باور نبود که من بتونم این کار رو بکنم و این یکی از بزرگترین تجربیات زندگی من بود که من هیچ وقت فراموشش نمی‌کنم و واقعا از آقای کیارستمی متشکرم که این اعتماد به نفس رو به من دادن که این کار رو بکنم و امیدوارم ادامه دار باشه.
After the film was made and it was according to Mr. Kiarostami, a successful film. She was very happy to have made it, succeeded, and she thinks this is one of the memories, one of the most important points in her life, like a landmark she'll never forget, and she thanks Mr. Kiarostami for giving her this chance and encouraging her to do that film, and she hopes to be able to continue the same experience. Just something that maybe we missed to mention, the workshop, when we had to come up with ideas, first we had some, idea brainstorming sessions with Mr. Kiarostami during the first 2-3 days, but then we each had to go and run around the idea, find the locations, find the actresses, and then shoot, get the camera, all the equipment, edit, and then deliver the film within 5 or 6 days of the workshop. It was very tight and everybody was under pressure and everybody was helping another one. So like I edited 3 films, acted in 4 films, and I was also doing my film. And this is something that everybody did. We were acting in everybody's, this was also a collaboration between everybody.
رولا جان، من اینم فقط آخر اضافه کنم که فقط چیزی رو که من واقعا از این ورکشاپ فهمیدم که خوب نگاه کنه آدم به اطرافش، مطمئنا سوژه های خوبی رو خواهید دید.
One of the most important things she wants to highlight that she learned from this workshop is, and this is what she learned from Mr. Kiarostami, is to be a good observer, because when you know how to observe, there are subjects everywhere around you.
استاد سلام عرض کنم. ادب احترام دارم خدمت استاد. یه سوال داشتم خدمت ایشون. البته من توی ورکشاپ نبودم، نمیدونم حالا حق این سوال رو دارم یا نه. این چیزایی که دوستان، من فقط از صحبت دوستان متوجه شدم، این متدی که شما چیز میکنید آیا فقط برای اون کسایی استفاده کنه که بار اوله دارن فیلم میسازن یا کسایی که مثلا چندین فیلم کوتاه دارن و مثلا تجربه های کارهای بلندم دارن، آیا اونا به همین سرعت باید کار رو شروع کنند و شروع به کار بکنن؟
So I'm just repeating the question. He says he wasn't in the workshop with us, but he might as well ask the question from Mr. Kiarostami. Was this workshop conducted and targeted only for the first-time filmmakers, or the people who had already had a few experiences with short or feature-length films? The same methodology could be applied to their filmmaking.
عرض کنم که اول وقتی شما صحبت می‌کردین من یه حسی رو داشتم که چقدر پشت سر آدم حرف زدن راحت‌تر از اینکه تو روی آدم تعریف کنه. خیلی شرایط دشوارتر بدن بشینه و
So first, when Nahid was talking about this interaction, and Mr. Kiarostami had this sudden realization that it's very easy to talk behind somebody in a good term, but sitting in front of them and talking about that thing and that person in the bad term is quite difficult.
من ورکشاپ‌ها رو واقعیتش اینه که اصلا نمیذارم برای اینکه برم به کسی چی یاد بدم. این اصلا جزو وظایف من نیست. کار فیلمسازی بنده کافی دشواری داره، به خصوص که من در زمینه‌های مختلف کار میکنم، ولی اگه صادق باشم باید بگم اصلا من به خاطر وقتا کار نمیکنم. این در پاسخ حرف شماست، به خاطر خودم کار میکنم. هم حرفه‌ایم و هم دلم میخواد که این حرفا رو از جانب شماها بشنوم. یعنی یک زمینه بسیار مناسبیه که من یادم بیارم که چجوری میتونیم در این حال که حرفه‌ای هستیم آماده بکنیم.
Mentioning that this was not only targeted towards the filmmakers who are learning, it was also targeted for me from my end, because as much as you get more experiences, he also wants to take a step backwards and think as a beginner or as an amateur, say it as much as it is a learning process for the others, and this is not what he's targeting for, it is a learning process for himself and a new experience.
یه حرفی که شما زدین من واقعا نمی‌فهمم داره من گفتم و الان اکوی شاید صدای من رفته و برگشته به خود من، یعنی برای من بهترین کسی آموزشی که این حرفا دیگه باید به خودم یادم بکنم و متاسفانه همه گرفتاری ما که وقتی حرفه‌ای میشیم خیلی حرفه‌ای میشیم. و یادمون میره که تجربه های کوچیک رو با همطور که هم کدومتون اشاره کردیم میشه ایده های بزرگ رو به سادگی دید و به سادگی ساخت. در واقع این یک نوع کلاس آموزشی برای خودم، برای اینکه یادآوری بکنم که من حرفه‌ای نیستم و دوباره همون که اولا رو چجوری ساختم دقیقاً با هم میشم.
So it's actually very interesting to be sitting here and listening to what I had heard, because I don't actually remember what I had talked about, and what I'm sitting here and listening you talk about your experiences, it's like all those experiences are echoing back to me, and this is the learning process, because I really constantly want to remind myself that as much as we get professional, we're never professional, we can always go back. And for me, this is a chance to remind me how I made my first film, what were the challenges that I went through.
ممنون. بعد با جمله آخر خب گاهی به من میگن استاد، به این جمله که اصلا دوست ندارم، نه به دلیلی که بخوام که افتادگی نشون بدم، باور دارم که ما تو کارمون اصلا استادی نداریم، یعنی که تو هر کاری ما بیگینریم. تو مسئله برمیگردیم به روز اول. تخصص هیچ وقت توی کار هنر به نظر من نمیتونه اتفاق بیفته. اون کار صنعتی که درش میشه اتفاق شد. به همین دلیل میگم که باور بکنید که این حرفه بسیار حرفه لذت بخشی اگر به عنوان آماتور ادامهش کنید. مثلا راه حل جدی نداره، در این حال تبدیل میشه در بین این صورت یه حرفه و شبیه همه حرفه ها که اون موقع واقعا شایسته اینه که بهتون بگم استاد.
One of the things that I don't, it's not because I'm humble and I'm saying it, but I'm usually, you know, being titled as a maestro, but this is not something that I want, because the minute you give this title to somebody, then that means they're a professional. In this, what we're doing, this is not a profession, it's not an industry. When you work in an industry, you specialize in something, that's when you can be called a maestro, because it's an industry. But what we do is art, and in art, it's not good to think that you're already a professional, already a maestro, because that actually inhibits you from going forward. And for me, in my case, I always want to stay a beginner so I can move forward, and I have somewhere to look forward to get into. If you're there and you're already a maestro and you're in the industry, then you can stick with the titles.
That was wonderful, Rola. But on behalf of Documentary Voices now, may I request even non-Farsi speakers to make the session more animated. It would be lovely to have first-hand experiences from Mr. Abbas Kiarostami. The floor is open, so let's get rolling. Thank you.
Just extending on from what Rola said actually about big ideas and highlighting even the biggest ideas in maybe the simplest of ways is probably, what's that? Louder? Yeah. Yeah, highlighting even the simplest of ideas and well, the biggest ideas in the most simple ways is probably one of the things that I took away from the workshop. But in saying that, even the biggest ideas that are executed in the simplest of ways you encounter some challenges, and I had some obstructions, like for example, my lead actress, who I initially was going to use, ended up having to she ended up having to cancel, so I had to find someone else last minute, so that was a bit of a challenge, but then I ended up finding a really good actress, so something that I got out of that was just the fact that it's good to embrace spontaneity. She was a really good actress, and it ended up taking the storyline in a different direction, but it ended up being a positive result in the end, so yeah, that's another thing that I took away from it, just embracing the spontaneity that comes along with doing a big piece of work in a short period of time. Thank you.
I'd like to also add that we have this afternoon the presence of a talented journalist who was part of the workshop last year and this year, and her name is Dua Agrama. She has just stepped into the room, and I will grab her attention in a few minutes to get her into the spotlight. Good afternoon, Dua, when you're ready. So in the meantime, feel free to field some more questions for Mr. Abbas Kiarostami.
Sorry, I just came confusing the time.
Dora made a short film which was called Lonely Shoes.
Yes. Well, hi everybody. I will speak in Arabic. Is this okay with you? Yeah. طبعا بالنسبة لي إن أنا أشارك في ورشة إخراج مع المخرج الكبير عباس كيارostami. ده كان بالنسبة لي it's like a dream comes true. خصوصا إن أنا just a year before سنة قبليها كنت شفته on stage في أبو ظبي Film Festival. He was presenting his film certified copy. So he was so near yet so far at this time. فإن أنا بعد كده السنة اللي بعديها أتعامل معاه one to one فده طبعا it was like crazy for me. طبعا باختصار أنا لما خدت الوركشوب أكتر حاجة استفدتها إن السينما بالنسبة لي يعني كمبتدئة أو كان لسه حد جديد في المجال حاجة كبيرة، حاجة صعبة، ممكن أحس إن هي حاجة معقدة، إن أنا مهما اتعلمت فبحس إن أنا لسه جاهلة. فأنا أتذكر إن من أول الحاجات اللي قالها لنا إن مفيش حد ممكن يعلم حد إزاي يبقى مخرج أو إزاي يعمل فيلم أو إزاي يبقى سينمائي. وتاني نصيحة قالها لنا برضه أنا فاكراها إن دايما keep it simple، ابعدوا عن التعقيد في السرد، ودايما كمخرج لازم تفكر فيجوال. الجزء الثاني من الورشه اللي هو الجزء التنفيذ بعد الافكار اللي انا اندهشت له بصراحه ان طبعا المخرج الكبير عباس كيارostami كان بيحضر بنفسه التصوير، وكان احيانا كتيره بيقعد يعني الشوتنج خلال الشوتنج كله، ومهما كانت الفكره بسيطه او حد ممكن يحس انها ممكن فكره سخيفه فهو عمره ما كان بيحسس اللي قدامه ان الفكره دي ما تنفعش او انها سخيفه او ان هو يقلل من او يحبط اي حد جديد. بالعكس كان بيحاول يطلع احسن ما في الفكره ويخلي يعني والتشجيع بتاعه ده كان بيخلي برضه المخرج يطلع احسن ما عنده مهما كانت الفكره بسيطه. فانا دي بصراحه اندهشتها، يعني انا بصراحه في الاول قلت هو اكيد هيجي بس يبص كده الصبح يعني اداء واجب كده واوكي وهيمشي ومش هنشوفه تاني، بس بصراحه لا هو كان قاعد معانا واحد واحد، فانا برضه دي كانت مفاجاه بالنسبه لي. You can do the summer. You can do the summer.
Yeah, she's talking about her
Yeah, first time I saw him in Abu Dhabi Film Festival, and it was really for me. It was really crazy for me because he was presenting his certified copy, his film certified copy. I really loved this film so much because I think it's such, especially the women. And anyway, he was so close yet so far. at the theater there. And anyway, by destiny, next year I took this workshop and I had the chance to work with him one-to-one. So it was like crazy for me. And at the same time, I applied even just right after the closing. But unfortunately, some of the people couldn't come from Egypt, so I took his place. So this is also something really great. And anyway, I remember for the first day, one of the first things he told us that no one can teach anyone to be like a director or how to make a good film. This is up to you and up to your talent. And the second thing is he was advising us to always keep it simple. Get rid of all the extra and all the complication and don't think making film is a complicated thing. After that, when we get to the execution of the project, for me, I was surprised because he was there for each one of us, attending the shooting. Sometimes he was there the whole shooting. For me, I thought he would just, you know what, he's like a big director and he's really busy or something, he have other things to do. And he would just show up for like 10 minutes and then leave and let us do but no, he was there all the time. And also, he encouraged us, like no matter how the idea we brought was simple or sometimes silly, he never underestimated anyone. He was encouraging everyone to get the best of it and make the best of this idea. And, okay, I think this is...
Mr. Kiarostami's comment was like, see, I'm telling you, it's really hard to be sitting here and people are, giving compliments.
Really? Even we have this chance for this first chance for me here.
And anyway, after, and like we finished the film, it was 10 days, but it was like 10 years of experience, actually equal like 10 years to being with a great director like Mr. Abbas. And we done the films, we made the screening and like, we just, everyone got his way of the director. We were like 45 directors from different places. And a year after that, the surprise that these small, very short films are screening at GFF. And this was another surprise. Like it was like a reunion again. And because I don't think any of us would expect this would happen and all these, they will really give or will value these small projects. Because we can't, most of these are not even films, these are like a moment of feeling or a moment of some personal thing, some interpretation of loneliness. It wasn't like real films, but...
I think we learned a couple of things with Mr. Kiarostami's workshop. I think one of the main things was that we always see making a short film as this sort of immense task ahead of us. We have to get a budget, we have to get some actors, we have to get production management, we have to get all those different things. And what we did with Mr. Kiarostami's workshop is strip that down to the bare minimum. And we said, no, let's think of an idea, a story that works, something that's engaging on screen, something that will make people think. And you don't need to go through all that production management funding and all the bells and whistles that come with big budget films or whatever it is that we're making these days. So that's one thing. The second thing was spontaneity. It's a key word. To be there in a situation. So you have your idea, we scripted it, Mr. Kiarostami, he approved it and everything, but once you're there on location and you're working with, I wouldn't say actors, but models, looking at their faces, looking at their feelings. For example, my film game, I picked kids that already knew each other. And so to put them in a situation that they were already familiar with, playing football, and then seeing how they play off one another, and then just sort of I shot it myself. So I was able to observe each moment with those kids playing football, cutting that together and creating something that perhaps you kind of feel this boy's loneliness through your lens. I think there's more of a connection between the film, the actors, and the director than you would sort of any other time where if you had a cinematographer or anything else with you on a bigger production. So that was very enlightening and opened up a lot of scope for the future for me.
اولش فکر کنم بی‌جهت نیست که شما فیلم‌های خوبی ساختید، نه که واقعا حضور داشتید تو کلاس. با این همین نکته‌هایی که در حافظتون مونده پیداست که کلاس‌ها رو سرسری نگرفتیم و این طول یک سال برای اگر فیلم خوبی هم نساختید، اگه به این نکته‌های فقط یادتون مونده و این توجه زیادی هم نشدید، نظر من فوق‌العاده است. یعنی تصادفی نیست که جای دیگه ما بچه‌ها حرف زدن چی تو حافظه‌شون نمونده.
So Mr. Kiarostami is saying that from what he's hearing and he's picking up from every filmmaker that attended the workshop and the films that he says, and he says the things that you are saying, it means that you really were present at the workshop and you listened carefully. I can see it echoing from your films and I can see it now you're telling me. And this is not something that I've heard back from the other workshops. Apparently they were not there, but now from what you're telling me, I can really witness a workshop that was really taken seriously, and maybe it did not reflect in that work that was made, executed in that film that you've seen, but it will definitely come up in your future works.
I just want to add to that. I think because we're we're such a new industry here, relatively to the rest of the region, I think we're ready to soak up as much information from the masters that came before us, and I think that's why there's so much listening going on.
Hey guys. I don't like to talk. But actually my friends, they said, most of what I want to say, I want to say that I was so proud to sit 10 days in the front of Maestro Kiarostami. And I think we'll never forget in our life that we have a film titled but supervised with Mr. Abbas Kiarostami. And also, what I want to say that when we do the brainstorming, I was thinking in Test of Cherry, I was thinking certified copy. So what we want to do in front of him, It was like it was scary. And he refused for me one idea before brainstorming, and the other idea he liked it a lot, and we work on it. And when I was shooting, I was thinking of him actually. Okay, do you think that this will be okay? It will be fine in the editing event? But I think he liked it, and just I want to say thanks, Mr. Abbas, for this chance. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Susan. I'm also a filmmaker, and unfortunately I haven't been to your workshop last year. That's really a pity. And I just wanted to ask you, what is the most important thing you wanted to tell these people when you were in front of them, teaching them? What was the most important thing you wanted to give these students?
خلاصه ورکشاپ الان همه گفتن.
So sorry that we regret that you didn't attend the workshop, but don't regret that you did not attend the workshop because you actually did hear the essence of it from everybody.
و در واقع میگم من خودم یادم نمیاد که اینا رو برای هر فیلمساز حرفه‌ای به نظر من داشتم فکر می‌کردم که خب آخرین فیلمی که کار کردم در ژاپن اینایی که الان شما گفتین رو من خودم رعایت کردم یا نه، فکر کنم خب یک سال ازش گذشته بود شاید یادم رفت. بنابراین یادآوری نکاتی که الان شما به اشاره کردین به نظرم برای هر فیلمسازی لازمه و نکته که الان شما پرسیدین که واقعا به عنوان یک نکته بخوام بهش اشاره بکنم که چه چیزی میشه به کسی یاد داد، هیچ نکته‌ای که مهمتر از این که بچه‌ها گفتن تا حافظه‌ام نمی‌رسه.
And if I really have to sum it up, it's basically what everybody here has been saying. It's not exactly one thing, it's just the sum of what you... And this is something that is good to a filmmaker to remind himself, because this was a year ago and all these points that came up during the workshop, and I was just finished making my film in Japan. And when I'm thinking about it, every single point that was mentioned was something that I had considered and I was constantly thinking about when I was making my film.
خب من فکر کنم نتیجه همین هاست که این اتفاق میفته برای فیلمسازایی مثل من یا مثل کشورهای مثل کشور من، سینمای مستقل برای فیلمسازایی مستقل راحتی جز این وجود نداره. همین شیوه که الان بچه‌ها بهش اشاره کردن که ما ساده نگاه کنیم و بزرگ فکر کنیم و راحت بگیم و فقط در این صورتی که ما میتونیم فیلممون رو ادامه بدیم. هر فیلمی هر جای دنیا شروع میشه 2 برابر بودجه پیش بینی شده خرج میشه. من معمولا هر فیلمم نصف بودجه پیش بینی شده. فکر میکنم اون نتیجه همین فرمولی است که الان بچه‌ها بهش اشاره کردن.
You see, where we come from this region. We are independent filmmakers in an independent film industry. This is exactly what we need. This is the formula, to think big, to film in a very simple way, and to present it in a small way. And this is the only way we can actually survive. Most of the countries, when you go outside, they go double budget, they go over budget from what they think they're going to spend on the film. In my films, I always go half of the budget that we had presumed we're going to spend. Just because we think, and this is exactly what we need. Big idea, shoot it in a simple way, present it in a simple way.
Seem to be the microphone lady. Well, again, on behalf of Documentary Voices, may I, before we sum up the last few questions, make a little announcement to honor and welcome Najjar Negar, who is a famous leading film personality and executive producer of many innumerable, rather award-winning films, one of which was a winner at the Oscars for Best Foreign Film. So, may everybody Okay, I wasn't ready for this. Thank you so much, Mr. Kiarostami, for being here. And Nagar, thank you for making this happen. And thanks to GFF for all of their support during the last whole year. We couldn't have done it. And the only thing I want to add to whatever the others said is that what was quite interesting for me was Mr. Kiarostami was living with the ideas of the students. Even when the workshop was not happening and we were walking around or we were having dinner together, he was constantly thinking about the ideas. He was asking me, did that student find a chain? Did the other one find a makeup artist? Could you find abaya for the other one? Did you find a location for the one who wanted to make? You know, he was constantly thinking about the ideas, and he was concerned as much as the students were concerned about their own ideas. And he was so generous in it. I mean, he was so dedicated. It was just fascinating to watch him. It's been an honor to be at his presence, and this is not a compliment, and it's been just wonderful experience for all of us. Documentary Voices is so proud to be the co-organizer along with GFF and with the help of Carnets. Thanks again for everybody for attending, and especially to Maestro. Thank you so much, and Rola, thank you.
من نگار اسکندرفر هستم، سرپرست مؤسسه فرهنگی کارنامه که تقریبا 6 ساله که کارگاه‌های فیلمسازی رو برگزار میکنیم با حضور آقای کیارستمی که در ادامهش به پیشنهاد خانم زمانی این کارگاهی رو که الان صحبتش هست برگزار کردیم. نکته رو میخواستم بگم.
My name is Nagar. I am the founder of the Carnets Cultural Foundation in Tehran, and it's been 6 years that we've been conducting along with Mr. Kiarostami workshops about filmmaking and art.
من با توجه به مسئولیتی که دارم و مشغله زیاد، اما این کارگاه‌هایی که شخصا مثل یک هنرجو در طی این سالها توش نشستم و نمیخواستم فیلمساز بشم و نمیخواستم فیلم بسازم، اما بعد نیست که اونجوری که به عنوان یه آدم که سنش از همه این هنرجوهایی که من بیشتره. یاد گرفتن با این که زمان دیگه یاد گرفتن هم گذشته بود، اینکه جهان رو تعریف تازه‌ای بکنیم، نگاهمون رو به پدیده‌هایی که همیشه هستن نو بکنیم و بتونیم به یک دریافت تازه از جهان برسیم. و این چیزیه که من در این کارگاه‌ها در این چند سال آموختم و خب برای من خیلی غنیمت بودم.
Although she's been always busy conducting and running the affairs of the foundation, but she always made time to make sure that she's attending every single workshop that was there, and how very humbly she thinks she's not at the age that she can learn new things, and she never wanted to become a filmmaker, but she thought that sitting in this workshop was always giving her and thinking that we should look at the world from a new perspective. We always have to renew our vision and see from where we can have a different vision or what we're seeing.
برای نمونه ما یک کارگاه با موضوع درخت برگزار کردیم و واقعا من بعد از اون اصلا نگاهم به پدیده‌ای به نام درخت با توجه به اینکه در روستا زندگی میکنم و در بین درختان عوض شد و همیشه من فکر میکردم من درک بهتری از طبیعت و درخت دارم، ولی بعد از اون اصلا یک نگاه تازه‌تر و جدیدتر پیدا کردم.
For example, we conducted the workshop, the theme was a tree. And after that, although I live myself among the trees somewhere far in a village, but after conducting that workshop and seeing different perspectives that were done or films made about the tree, my vision, my perspective changed. And now every time I look at it and I say, oh my God, this is different. Like I look at, and this is the result of continuously doing stuff from a different point of view.
و خوشحالم که این شانس رو داشتم که با جوانان از این کارگاه استفاده کنم.
And I'm really happy to having had the chance to be along the young filmmakers and attend these workshops.
Can I ask a question from Mrs. Najjar?
Yes.
The movie that you produced, Separation, has received an Oscar for the best foreign film in the US. And Asghar Farahadi was the honoring of Asghar Farahadi ceremony was cancelled in Iran. But you do produce a lot of movies, but we feel us foreigners, we only receive when you're not receiving honoring, and only when you're receiving, for example, a Cannes Festival award for copie conforme and things like that. Where is cinema in Iran right now?
من تا حدی متوجه پاسخش. من الان به عنوان هنرجوی کارگاه فیلمسازی آقای کیارستمی اینجا هستم و فقط در این مورد میتونم جواب بدم. متشکرم.
As someone who conducted the workshop with Mr. Kiarostami, therefore she cannot answer your question.
Thank you.
Yes, there's a question.
Mr. Kiarostami, if you were an Arab filmmaker and at the start, what would you like to make in this time about Arab Revolution or what? What do you think is important to making films?
من جواب سال شام بخوام از زبان شما بشنوم.
Actually, I remember because I believe when we were conducting the workshop and many same questions were risen. They were like concerning the revolution and politics, and I remember his answer exactly. And I just told Mr. Kiarostami, he said he likes to listen to what I remember from last year from what he said. شما چیزی که از زبان آقای خود کیارستمی صادفی شنیدیم خیلی موضوعات در مورد سیاست و انقلاب میشد و آقای کیارستمی گفتن که چرا ما سیاست و انقلاب رو به سیاستمداران و کسانی که انقلاب میکنن نذاریم. مگه میخوام به عنوان اودینس یا به عنوان فیلمبردار میخوام برم تو کار هنری، هنر رو بذار جدا بکنیم از این. چرا اگه میخوایم هر کسی کار هنرمند میخواد بره کار انقلابی سیاستمدار رو بکنه، سیاستمدار میخواد بره کار انقلابی بکنه، به نظرش هر کسی بهتره که کار خودشو بکنه و میخواد بره یه سالن سینما، میخواد 2 ساعت بشینه، میخواد فراموش کنه تمام نگرانی و ذهنی و سیاست و اینا. نمیخواد بره تو سالن سینما بشینه دوباره بیان بگن این اونو کشت و اون انقلاب شد. من این چیزی بود که دقیقاً همیشه یادم میاد سال پیش.
بیشتر فقط به این میخوام اضافه کنم. به هر حال من فکر کنم که هیچ فیلمسازی نیست هم فکر خانم اسکندر فرهنگی اشاره کرد ما مدام به عنوان یه هنرمند نگاه هنرمندانه میباید داشته باشیم به اون چیزی که در اطرافمون داره میگذره به جهان پیرامون خودمون. بنابراین تأثیرات خودمون رو حتما ناخودآگاه هم در اثر میگذاره، ولی اجازه بدیم که فقط شیوه بیانیمون شیوه مشتای گری کرده یا اسلحه در خیابون نباشه. ما باید با شیوه‌های دیگه‌ای حرف بزنیم. مخاطبمون رو باید متأثر بکنیم. این توقعی است که از ما میشه.
From what I learned from the workshop last year, this is what I remember that I'm going to translate is that if as an audience or as a filmmaker I want to go to a movie theater and sit for 2 hours, and if I live in this part of the world where there's revolutions and it's overwhelming, I actually want to take a break and forget what's going on. So if I'm going to go there and again see the same thing, so it beats the purpose. But now Mr. Kiarostami is adding something to that as filmmakers living in this part of the world, being affected continuously by TV and media, unconsciously, these ideas are inside us. So no matter how, even if we don't want to show it on the film, it's going to be in a way reflected. But let's not create a fist and carry weapons in our films and stand up and make a stand. Unconsciously, it's going to be reflected in the way we perceive and the way we're showing the film to you. It will come out, but not very visually strong. So let's not make a point out of it.
شما به عنوان یه شهروند به نظرم یا من خودم واکنش‌های شهروندی خودم رو نسبت به زندگی دشواری که دارم نشون میدم. ولی وقتی دارم فیلم میسازم اینها رو مستقیما شما نمیدم. اگه فکر کنم اینجا به یه بیان دیگه شاعرانه احتیاج دارم برای ماندگاری اثرم، در غیر این صورت تبدیل میشه به یه واکنش تند عصبی مقاوم و یک روزه تمام میشه وقتی به خصوص مسئله میشه.
As a citizen, we live our daily lives. Yes, all this politics, it gets reflected in our reactions and the way we talk. But as a filmmaker, when we go and we start making films, although this is in the backstory, might be in the back of our mind, but we are not going to. We have to always find a poetic way to bring these subjects, not in a very expressive way, just because we want to make it eternal. Because if you want to come out and just talk about something very specific, it will not last. But if you find a poetic way to express all those backstories, and that's how your film will be eternal, and people will remember it. Otherwise, it will just come as the news come, and then it will go as the news goes.
من یه نکته رو میخواستم بگم در مورد همین ورکشاپی که سال گذشته برگزار شد، شاید بی ارتباط به این صحبت شما نباشه. افرادی بودن که از کشورهایی که بحران زده بودن مثل بحرین، مصر، این بچه ها توی کارگاه بودن، اما ما عملا میدیدیم که این فضا باعث شد که اون اصلا به اون آنچه که در مملکت خودشون داره اتفاق میفته فکر نکنن و هیچ حرفش هم نمیزدن. همه ذهنشون متوجه موضوعی بود که در ورکشاپ در جریان داشت. این شاید باز معجزه همچه نگاهی باشه.
Nagar's observation from last year's workshop was that there were many filmmakers who were actually from this troubled region, from let's say Bahrain. Last year when we were conducting, there were many issues going on. But what she observed in the workshop that they had actually taken refuge in this workshop and not think about what was going on. They were very much focused on the creative aspect of what was going on, and it was not about the politics or the revolutions that were happening. We have Ammar here from Bahrain. Please join us. He did talk. Also, Ammar participated in the workshop.
Ladies and gentlemen, after Mr. Ammar has finished speaking, we'll open for 5 minutes of questions from the media. Please limit your questions to the workshop and to Mr. Kiarostami's body of work. After that, you're more than welcome to talk to any of the filmmakers who are here.
عمار كوجي مخرج بحريني. أنا جيت ورشة مع بعض الأصدقاء المخرجين البحرينيين واستفادت كثيرا من الورشة، لأن الأستاذ والبروفيسور والدكتور والوالد عباس كيارostami تعلمت منه الكثير. أنا عن نفسي تعلمت إني أنا كنت أمشي بطريقة معينة في التكنيك في الإخراج، بس في الورشة تعلمت من عباس الأستاذ والوالد كيفية إن إحنا نشتغل على الحالة ونركز على الحالة ونجيبها بطريقة بأبسط ما يمكن وأسهل ما يمكن للمشاهد.
ایشون میگن که من خودم تو ذهن خودم هم چون فیلم کارگردان هستن یه تجربه خودشو داشت که انجام میداد و یه طریق معینی ادامه میداد، ولی تو این ورکشاپ که اومدن متوجه شد که باید خیلی تمرکز داشته باشه روی این مسئله و چجوری بتونه اون یه دونه مسئله به راحت ترین وجه ادا کنه.
وما انسى المقولة اللي قالها أول يوم: السينما لا تدرس وسهلة وجميلة.
همونطوری که میگه سینما رو نمیشه درس داد، سینما زیباست و آسون و ساده.
Thank you, Mr. Abbas. Thank you very much.
So we're open to the press now. So, first question.
توی این صحبت هایی که شد حالا من یه درسی گرفتم واقعا، یعنی دارم میبینم دوستایی که مثلا توی ورکشاپ همون ساده فکر کردن استاد، من فکر کنم راحت نیست. مثلا من هر موقعی میخوام سناریو بنویسم خیلی الان دارم فکر میکنم به این اشتباهم که خیلی مسائل دارم پیچیده میکنم، شاید به خاطر نمیدونم دلیلش چیه، ولی همون ساده فکر کردن خیلی سخته. چجوری باید ساده فکر کردن؟ من نمیدونم.
So the question is that from what he picked up is that we have to simplify, but that actually he thinks it's the hardest thing to simplify. He can't answer it because he doesn't know it how to simplify. It's really hard.
واقعا با استمرار و اینکه با باور اینکه سادگی پسندیده است، سادگی دلپذیره، سادگی همه جا کاربرد داره. به نظرم باور خودش شروع اتفاق. اگر باور کنیم، عمیقاً باور کنیم که سادگی بهتر از پیچیدگیه، واقعا با پیچیدگی تظاهر به دانش نکنیم، سادگی آروم آروم خودش رو ارائه داشت.
The only way that he can think is perseverance. If you think and you deeply believe that the simple is the most beautiful way and simple is the most pleasurable way, then slowly you will find it, it will come to you. Otherwise, if you think that to make it more complicated, people are going to like it more, that's not going to work. So just stick and believe deeply that to have a simple way and it will reveal itself to you. That's the only thing that I can say.
أيها يوسف من جريدة الخليج. نحب أسأل الأستاذ عباس عن من خلال مشاهدته الأفلام الدورة مهرجان الخليج، شو كان تقييمه للأعمال؟
I want to ask Mr. Kiarostami about his first, like when he did his first feature, how he passed the difficulties of the government and the financing. In a little answer, no problem. Just because it's, I want to know how he can do it in the great way as he did it.
First, they were giving the budget themselves, and because it was a governmental institution, they did give. There were no problems with permissions and things.
این نکته که قبلا بهش اشاره کردم رو در مورد همه فیلم ها بوده، مربوط به فیلم اول نمیشد. از فیلم اول تا فیلم آخر، تا همین آخر فیلمی کار کردم، میتونم بگم ارزون‌ترین فیلم هایی که ممکنه ساخته بشه رو من با این فکر مشکل سانسور هنوز در کشور ما هست، بنابراین من کار نکردم به خاطر محدودیت ها. این فیلم رو در ژاپن کار کردم، اما خود سانسوری درش بسیاره. یعنی خود سانسوری منظورم اینه که محدودیت هایی که برای خودم دارم، یعنی هر جای دنیا کار کنم فرق نمیکنه با فیلم هم از آزادی های بی‌بند و باری استفاده نکردم در طول کار. اما نکته اصلیش اینه که برای بودجه فیلم خیلی کردم.
What he did say about the budget of his films, most of his, even from the first, the short or the long, until the last film that he's done, and he's saying that the rule applies to all of them. So it's a general rule that he always has a very little budget and he uses it. But when it comes to censorship, he always, unfortunately, he's still struggling with the censorship. But it's not a censorship that he faces externally, it's auto-censored, whatever. Even the last film that he did, although he shot it in Japan, but he's always, when he's going through his process, he always self-censors it himself. But the budget, he always makes them very, very small budgets, so he doesn't have any problem.
Thank you all very much for coming. Thank you for your time.
Should we wait for any part 2 of the workshop? We want. No?
With pleasure.
Second time.
Как Bilal? Ой.
Second time.
Как Bilal? Ой.
Second time.
Bilal.